Welcome to the Bigger Room podcast. I'm your host, Jill Bender.
And I'm Mel Cobian, and today we're gonna talk about reflection. I'm gonna share a little.
I thought we were talking about saltwater fish tanks.
We could talk about saltwater fish tanks.
I'm just kidding, guys. Okay, go ahead, Mel. Sorry.
Yeah. Jill could talk nonstop about her fish tank. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you're not watching on YouTube, you really should, because you're missing out on some really cool stuff. Yeah. So I turned 30 years old 2 weeks ago. I'm in the 30s club now. And I went to go visit family, and I ended up getting sick. But during this time that I got sick, I had no choice but to slow down. I had no choice but to just stop thinking. And at the time of this recording, it's June. And if we think back, it's like half the year already. I haven't stopped. And I know for a fact that I got sick because I needed to slow down. And during that time of me slowing down and being sick, I really had a lot of reflection that I was doing. And I want to share that with you guys, because I think it's super important that we force ourselves to have that reflection about how our year's been, right? Halfway through. And for me, I realized that one of my toxic traits, which I actually shared with some other business partners, is that sometimes when I'm feeling a little stressed, my toxic trait, my behavior, is that I over-deliver. And when you're consistently over-delivering, at least for me, you start burning out. And then you start feeling a certain way, which then leads back to that trigger. So I actually sat down, and I have it in front of me. I actually sat down and I wrote down, what are the moments that I am not my best self? This is me when I'm sick. This is what I did. And
else?
Yeah. I'm a little weirdo. And I just felt called to do that, because I'm like, gosh, I'm not happy. I was like, I'm sick. I'm not feeling happy. I'm not feeling my best self. And I'm like, why am I not being my best self right now? And then I wrote down some triggers that I could consistently feel, that I have been consistently feeling. And then after I wrote down the triggers, I wrote down the feeling. So it's like a 3-step process. So what is the triggers that maybe are happening in your life right now? Like, maybe you're feeling a little bit pressured. That's kind of, if you're a business owner, that you feel some sort of pressure. And then what is the feeling that comes up when you feel that way? Right? You have to correlate the feeling with the trigger. And then this is the most important thing that I didn't realize. I learned this 2 weeks ago, is what is the behavior? Some people procrastinate. Some people shut down, right? Some people go internal and they just don't talk. For me, so toxic. I end up outperforming. I feel like I end up giving myself more tasks because I'm like, oh, I'm feeling pressured. And then that makes me feel a little stressed out. So I'm going to go over deliver and sign up and do more shit. So toxic. So that's why I got sick. And that's what I learned when I was sick, is I got sick because I'm just putting too much on my plate.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely hit it hard and went at it hard for the last 5 months into this month, for sure.
I still can't believe everything that...
I think you got sick because you did take that time off. Friday's like, what the hell are we doing? Yep, we must be sick.
You don't know what time off means, Mel. And now you're 30, so here we go.
Here's some symptoms. You need an excuse to have this time off.
Yeah. I literally turned 30 and I was like, is this what it feels like? I woke up with body aches, and then I was like, no way. Out of freaking breath. Couldn't gather my thoughts. I'm like, no, take me back.
No, you're only as old as you think you are, so none of that talk.
Yeah.
I don't wake up with body aches, and I'm way over 30.
Yeah, no, this was because, I had COVID. I had the big C. It took me out. This is the third time I've gotten COVID, and every single time it's like nothing I've ever had. Really knocks me out.
it is a weird, and we definitely don't want to cover this, but it is a weird sickness. Like
Yeah.
it's like a hard to describe kind of symptoms. I guess maybe because a lot of the symptoms are ones that they don't come with the common cold and the common flu. They're just a little off. I mean, they're never anything crazy they can't just get through. But I recently had it also, as you know. I got it when we were in
Yeah.
Dubai together.
Yeah.
Amazingly, you guys didn't get it. I mean, I sat next to you at
Nah.
dinner. I didn't
I
have it
know.
then. Annabelle did. but we were all
Yeah.
in the Ubers together. We were all very close together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
And I'm the only one that gets it. I got it like right away. As soon as I
Yeah.
sat next to
It's
Sicky
probably because
Annabelle, I got it.
you didn't sleep. Guys, for those of you that don't know, Jill
No.
can drink. Jill can
Oh,
freaking
yeah, I can.
drink.
Yeah. But
What's your go
to drink?
I was gonna say, what's your go-to drink?
You know what my go-to is. The White Claw.
White Claws. What flavor though?
Oh, so I don't want to get sick of flavors, so I always keep rotating them. There's flavors that I hate. Like I hate grapefruit. I used to be able to do it, but I can't do grapefruit anymore. And then I don't love black cherry, which I have one of my really good friends only drinks black cherry. If they don't have black cherry, she'll like get a beer. She would rather have black cherry, or she would rather have anything else than not have her black cherry. And she's been drinking these since she started drinking White Claws a few years ago. It's like, ugh. I love the berry flavors though, so I love the raspberry, the blackberry.
Yeah.
There's another berry. Yeah.
Bud Light has like this like icy. You remember like the ices, and it's like I don't remember the flavors, but they're so good. They're it's Bud Light seltzers though.
Yeah, I've had their seltzers in the past. I had a horrible hangover when I had them, so I don't know if it was the amount I drank or if it was
or the brand.
Yeah. So same with I think Corona had seltzers for a little bit, and I had a massive hangover, and I was like, nope, not doing it. So
yeah,
I generally I'll drink Trulies or White Claws, or there's a couple others that I can handle.
I generally seltzers give me a headache if I have more than 3.
Maybe it's because you're drinking the Bud Light seltzers.
Yeah, I don't really care for seltzers. I like hard kombucha. Have you ever had hard kombucha? That is such a California thing to say. I know.
I don't think I've ever had kombucha.
What?
Oh, wait,
ever?
Recently, I think I bought something that had it in there.
Oh,
but yeah,
we used to make our own kombucha.
I don't even know what it is. Right. So, if you guys don't know, I recently got into a saltwater hobby, obsession. Really, it's just been an insane wild ride. Even since the last time Mel and I were on a call together, like so many things have happened. But I was telling Mel that on Marketplace, there's a whole freaking industry, a whole market that people out of their house are selling like fragments. I didn't know what frag was for a while until I asked somebody. Frags of coral. And then somebody recently was selling anemones and corals. And I was like, all right, I need an anemone for these little clowns that I have. So I messaged a guy. He's in, the next town over. And I'm like, okay, I'm on my way before he like sells it or changes his mind or something, because he was selling this anemone for way cheaper than anybody else. This part's so good. I drive to the house. It's the middle of the day. I drive to this guy's house. I pull up in front of this house. Okay, I'm by myself. The guy opens the door, and I'm like, I felt exactly like Mel just said. Like, it's like buying drugs. I felt exactly like I was going to somebody's house to score some drugs. So I pull up in front of their house at 2:00 in the afternoon. I walk up to the door. He opens the door. I do everything that I'm not supposed to do, especially as a female, buying something on Marketplace, and I walk right in his house. Okay. And he said, "Oh, I don't usually have women show up. Usually I have guys coming to pick this stuff up." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm probably not supposed to just walk right in your house either." he, he just kind of laughed. I'm like, but I just had like a good feeling. Like he seemed like a really nice, normal guy, and the type of neighborhood. Like I'm guessing he probably lived in there since his kids were younger, and now they were moved out, and he was in like his 60s. And he seemed fine. He didn't murder me, and he had a
Dang.
huge saltwater tank in the background. So, because otherwise, I don't know how you would buy that stuff. If he would have walked to the door and said "here," because when those things are not happy, they just look like a pile of goo. Like, how would I know he gave me an actual animal?
Dang.
Yeah, so I
Wow.
walked right in the guy's house. Thought it was pretty funny.
That's pretty freaking brave as a female.
Or stupid. I think it's really
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime I buy anything, I always ask to meet at a public location.
I don't buy a lot, but I've sold a ton, and I used to let them come to my house. And then once I had my son,
Yeah.
I realized that was really just not being smart. So I'm very close to like a
Yeah.
Dollar Tree, and so I always just meet them there.
Just meet
Unless
there.
it's something really
Yeah.
heavy. Yeah.
This reminds me of a weird story. So I was back in my hometown, Bakersfield, and for those of you that are from California, anytime people ask me like, where are you from? That's a weird question for me to answer because I've moved like 7 times in 10 years and I'm gonna move later this year. So when I've lived here for 2 years. So when people ask me, where are you from? I don't know what to say. Am I from where I live right now? Am I like when I lived in Virginia? I was definitely not going to say I was from Virginia. I was like, I'm from California if people ask. So California pride. Then when I lived in the Bay Area. Like I've lived in, downtown, down in San Diego. So like, it's hard when you live there for like, especially if you're already living there for a couple of years. What do you say, right? So for whatever reason, like I always default to saying like my hometown. I'm like, oh yeah, like I grew up here. I lived there for 18 years, but I like immediately moved out once I was 18. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah, so it's like I don't know. I don't definitely
that's
yeah, and then so I'm moving to Washington State. I'm gonna live there for I think at least 3 years. So then at the 3rd year, do I say like, oh, where are you from? Like, do I say Washington?
No.
Help me!
You never
Help
say
me,
Washington.
guys! I don't know what to say.
You say where you're from. Like I think,
yeah,
that's where you're like grew up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, so people that are from California that know Bakersfield is the #1 deadliest city in the entire state. There's even a documentary on Hulu called Killer County. It's a crazy town. And I remember my mom had like a lot of aches and pains, and I don't use like CBD products that much, but I have, and there was one that did, like I felt like it worked, so I wanted to buy some for my mom to see if it helped her. And it's like, it said it was a dispensary because, stuff like that is legal in California. And it sent us to somebody's house. And my wife was driving. She's like, fuck no. There's no dispensaries. There's no actual like legal dispensaries. They're always like houses. It was such a weird experience. And in Bakersfield, you don't just walk into somebody's house asking for CBD.
What if they were selling coral? Maybe
not in Bakersfield. No.
Okay, this reminds me of my very first trip to California. I was a nanny from when I was like 19 and just turning 19 until there's not really a hard cutoff of when I ended, because even when the youngest was a senior in high school, I still like worked for the moms, and I was always there. And when she came home for school, Jilly, will you make me a grilled cheese sandwich? I'm like, you're 18 years old. Go make your own sandwich. But you make them the best. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go make you one. But anyway.
It's funny.
So once those kids had gotten older, I thought about moving out to California. It was something that I always kind of wanted to do when I was growing up. And I was going to interview to be a nanny out there. And I had an interview in the Palisades. Is that how you say it? Pacific Palisades?
I
It's
don't
by
know.
LA. Okay, well, that's not my story. My story is I flew out to LA by myself. I was going to rent a car. I was going to do the interview. I was staying out there for like 2 days. I was so excited, right? So I fly out. I got in. It was darker, so I didn't get to do anything. I just went straight to the hotel. And then I stayed in this, like, I was just so happy to be. I love staying in hotels anyway. Like, everything was perfect. And I went to bed and I woke up in the morning and I was getting ready to go out. I think I had the interview that day. And took a shower and I had the TV on and I don't know what was on because I wouldn't purposely turn news on, but it was like
Yeah.
LA News or Good Morning LA or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
getting ready and I can't tell you like how happy I am. Like I'm just so happy I'm out there. Everything feels right. Everything feels good. And then I hear her say, LA has been named the murder capital of the world. And I'm like, nope, back it up. Let's go. We're not going to the interview. I did the
Yeah.
interview. It was fun, but yeah, I was like, oh shit. I was so excited
Yeah.
that I heard that. It was kind of funny.
Well, I mean, you live near Chicago, and that shouldn't be a surprise.
And Chicago's
Right.
gotten really bad over the last few years, but
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
You know, it blows me away how and you know, we won't get too much into it, but like for example, it's like an election year, and anytime there's an election year, it just really kind of highlights the differences around the country. But then everybody has
Yeah,
their own everybody has their own baggage. Like every state has their own baggage, every town and city has their own baggage. Especially like California, you know, has a reputation. Everybody gets put into a box, kind of thing. And at the end of the day, it's like it's just I don't know how to explain it. It feels like to me at least, I don't know how it is for you like in your state. It feels like overall people just don't care anymore about arguing and people just want to get along. That's what I'm saying. But I don't know how it is on your side of the world.
I don't even feel like it's an election year this go around. Like I hear nothing about it. It probably doesn't help that I don't watch the news or listen to radio or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Like I
I
don't
don't
even
either.
know. I only know
I
because
don't
it's
either.
2024. Like
Yeah. I guess yeah, and I don't watch the news either. I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to any of that. It's just programming, and it may be less people are right. The news, in my opinion, is just a programming to program you. The more you listen to something, the more you're gonna have feelings. We know feelings lead to behaviors. We just talked about this earlier. But it seems like I live like in a what's considered like a little conservative town here in California, and it's a lot different. People are just happy. People are just nice, and I don't know. I feel like I feel like we're making progress as a humanity to just see each other and treat each other with respect.
I feel like I don't see enough people to even notice. Like I, especially more recently,
Really?
everybody at
Yeah.
saltwater fish stores are just happy people, I guess.
That's what I mean. Like everybody just seems happy. Like I'll go somewhere and then people just spark up a conversation, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just the energy I'm carrying, and it has an effect on the people that I get to meet throughout the day. It's just positive.
I saw a TikTok last night because I've also been watching TikTok more than ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this lady was looking for her hamster. She's like, I gotta find my hamster. All around her house, she has these little doors, like little mouse doors, like for little Jerry. And she pushes the door open, and it's completely decorated like an actual room. Like it has a library. And she's like, he's not in the library. I don't see him in here. And then she goes over to the kitchen, another door. It has like, I think that even had like the swinging barn doors or like bar doors. And she went in there and she's like, he's not in here. Her whole fucking house is done like that. I don't understand how she did it. I don't get it. I don't know the science behind it, but it was so cool. And she had a bunch of them that were decorated like the friends' apartments. So it was like she had Rachel's apartment, she had Monica, right? They had the purple door with the gold empty picture frame. Like she had it all. Like holy shit. So hopefully she can make some money off of it, because that's a lot of time spent.
Yeah, that is super random. I think that I definitely want to do this. If I could do it in this house, I think we would have done it already. But when we are able to kind of tie down a place for some time, I want to do that thing where people carve like underneath the stairs, like a dog living room.
Oh,
Have you seen those?
dog apartment.
Yep.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, it's
I want to
cute.
do
But
that.
my dog would never. Actually, he might. My other dog probably would never hang out in there because he just followed me everywhere. But
Yeah.
Oakley's pretty self-centered.
My
He'll
dogs
live
would
by himself
totally
if
live
he's.
there.
Would they?
My dogs would,
That'd be
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'll lock them in there.
You like it? I built this for you.
Yeah, it's staying there all day. Yeah. No. Alright.
So you did have a topic when we started recording, and you even mentioned it
Yeah.
once. And what was it?
Yeah.
Like your feelings, or something about your feelings and
Uh,
actions?
yeah. So when you're triggered, you get feelings, and feelings are will lead to behaviors. And I learned that 2 weeks ago, kind of put it together because I was sick. I've been nonstop working, nonstop creating, and nonstop just over delivering in different areas of my life that I ended up getting sick. I took a few days off and I ended up getting sick, which forced me to kind of take like an additional week off. And I realized that the behaviors that I've been doing in my life, in all areas of my life, was due to feeling a certain way because of certain triggers. And those triggers is just feeling stressed out, waking up, thinking about the to-do list. So just going back to feel your feelings, but realize the behavior. If you don't realize the behavior that you're doing, you have to so basically link the behavior to a feeling. Is it a feeling you don't want to feel? And I realized that in those moments, I'm just not my best self. It's what I don't want to do. It's what I don't want to feel. So have to change the behavior so that I don't have the feeling, and then I don't get triggered.
Yeah. So I actually I can totally relate to this topic, because I think 2 weeks ago in my mastermind, I kind of, I don't know, I know I either posted something in there or we had something on the call, but I was thinking about it, and when you're not happy, and this goes for like everybody, and how many people do we know because of what we do? How many people have we heard from that are miserable, and they, like,
Oh boy.
but so many of them feel stuck, they don't know how to change anything, and then they still go on to not change anything, and we know plenty of those people. But then we know a lot of people that have stepped up, right? But
Yeah.
I know that I recently was like, I'm not in a super super happy place like I like to be, like way up here, as you
Me
know,
too.
pretty much always happy. And
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, all right, like we know enough about how this all works now. Why aren't you happy? And so I did, though. I didn't do your structured exercise because that's not how I roll anyway. But I was like, okay, what's causing me to not be happy? Okay, yeah, that's pretty obvious. What's attributing to this? I kind of pinpointed those. I'm like, how do I fix this? What do I have to do? And usually it means I have to do more than I was doing. So for me, it's like, okay, well, you kind of got lazy about that. You took the easy route. You need to take the harder route. You need to step up right now, or you're going to continue down this path that's going to get worse. So it was a good, like, hey, look at this, like,
Yeah.
and that's what everybody needs to realize, is that just take a look at where you're at. Take a look at what's causing you certain emotion that's an emotion you don't like, and how do you get out of it. We 100% can get out of every situation.
Yes.
Unless you're like trapped in a dungeon or something, but let's not go that dark. Let's not go Riverdale dark.
Yeah. And the more you ignore how you're feeling, the more you're putting yourself in a box, and then something's gonna happen, like a trigger, right? That's what triggers do. It's we all have these buttons, and somebody's gonna press them all at the same time, and you're just gonna, blow up. Or you're gonna get sick. Things are gonna happen to force you, and I truly believe that things will happen to force you to deal with the feelings. And we just mentioned two different ends of the spectrums. Like sometimes you're not putting in the work, and so then you're feeling a certain way, or sometimes you're doing too much, you're giving so much of yourself. And I think a lot of us have that empath in us, and it's okay to say no. It's okay to have boundaries, and you have to take care of your energy, otherwise you can't show up happy, and so over delivering or not delivering, right? Two ends of the spectrum. Figure out where you are, what are you feeling, and most importantly, what is triggering the feeling that leads to that behavior, whether it's not taking action or doing or taking too much action, thinking that it's just this vicious freaking cycle.
You need to be right in the center of both of those.
Yeah. And what helps kind of shift the energy is because feelings are just energy. That's all it is, and you're going to continue to feel it, and things are going to keep showing up until you deal with it. The moment you acknowledge your feelings, validate your feelings, but like, you know what, like enough is enough. I'm going to put boundaries up. I'm going to say no, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's simple.
Yeah. Most people don't want to feel.
Yeah. So then they drink.
Yeah, they drink, do drugs, and again, then your life like keeps giving you these situations. Once again, like you're gonna keep seeing the same situations.
And to spend money. Like I know for sure, like my brother is much happier if he's buying stuff, and then when he can't, he is a bastard. He's a total.
That's asshole. A behavior, though. That's
shop, and I love.
Yeah,
and it does make me happy to be out there. But
yeah. But if it's so, like one thing is like, I've obviously, if it's you have good income, you need to upgrade something, or go buy yourselves like a fish tank. It's not that there's a trigger that made you feel sad, so now you're gonna go shopping. But I know a lot of people that they like if they're stressed out, or they're mad, or they're sad, like their therapy is the behavior of shopping, which then puts them in debt, and then they feel stressed out, so that they can spend more money.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, same. Then so drinking too. Like, are you drinking to just live life, like having a drink with the friends, like cool. But if you're drinking because you don't want to feel the feelings, and now that's a behavior. Yeah. And then there's a trigger. So just think about the behaviors that keep showing up in your life that basically you're not being your best self. If you're not being your best self, there are behaviors that in your life that need to change.
Yeah. And one suggestion I have for you on like how do you change that? Let's say I've never been an alcoholic, but let's just say alcohol. If you're using that as your escape, how do you break that cycle? You just need something bigger. And so, like for us, when we like, how do you make money online? You need your why. You need a super strong why. You need a super strong why to stop drinking, to stop spending money like crazy, like to stop masking your feelings. You have to find a bigger why, and focus on that bigger why, and get super excited about the bigger why.
Yeah. Anytime you're seeking any sort of validation or anything outside of yourself, you need to come back inward, make sure you're okay, make sure you're happy, and it's going to come back to what Jill said, your why. If you can't hold on to that, it's going to be very hard. Find your why, figure out your triggers, figure out what it makes you feel, and then figure out how you're compensating with what behavior, and take note.
And that is all we have for you today. So thank you so much for joining us on the Bigger Room podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jill Bender.
I'm Mel Kovian, and we'll see you next week.